Hello out there in YouTube land, Kevin here. This is a video response to my friend Harvey's recent post about should we use our credentials. And before I get into that, the housekeeping, my new Yakono, I posted this in a video recently. Love it. Still breaking it in, of course, will be for a while. And in it, I'm smoking some GLP Stratford, which is one of my favorite Virginia blends, not flake, but blends. Okay, so, and this is a story that Harvey's already heard. He heard it in our Toastmasters club, Toastmasters being where Harvey and I first met. But it's a good story, I think. It goes back a few months. In January, I was back in Chicago visiting my family because my mother was in the hospital, and she was 74, and things were not going very good, and we didn't know, was this going to be, this was the end. Things would get really, really bad, then they get better, and then they get bad again, and we weren't really sure what was happening there. Now it turns out she did pass away, but before that happened, we're in the hospital. We're trying to, sometimes we tell the nurse things, and, sometimes things get done, sometimes they don't. And my father was just a basket case. He wasn't handling it very well. And to help him, I contacted a friend of mine whose wife, I don't know very well. I've met her several times over the years, but I don't know her very well. But she worked in the hospital. So I contacted her, and she came out to visit one time when I wasn't there, so I went back down, visited her later, and hadn't seen her in several years, so I handed her my card, and it was the first time she saw that I had a PhD after my name, and she said, "Oh, you're a PhD, that's really impressive." And I made a little joke. I said, "Yeah, to the outside world, I'm a doctor, but here in the hospital, I'm not going to go around saying I'm a doctor." And she said, no, you should, because the nurses here are used to dealing with doctors. And she said, by all means, introduce yourself as doctor. And I felt a little bit uncomfortable about that, but yet she had a good point. And especially in this situation, you want to get all the help you can possibly get. So I told my dad, I said, I know this sounds funny. It was uncomfortable for me even telling him this. I said, I know it sounds funny, but when you introduce me or talk about me, you should introduce me as doctor. As funny as it sounds, but it may help us get a little more service and whatnot. So, I don't know, maybe half an hour later, we get a new nurse or a new, I think she was a physical therapist, come in. And it was me and my dad and someone else, my other brother. So my dad says, "Hi, my name is Ron. This is my son, Dan," and he points to me. And in some ways, this is the moment I've been waiting for several years, because actually, no one in my family really went to college. Certainly nobody graduated from college. So for me, we were all steel workers, and for me to quit that job in the mill, which my family was not very happy about, go to college, get my master's degree, and then get my doctorate, it was, I look at it as quite an accomplishment. Whereas sometimes my family doesn't really understand what it is I do, what it is I have. But so here's the moment. He says, "I'm Ron. This is my son Dan, and this is my son, Dr. Ken Parent." And see, the thing is, my name's not Ken. It's Kevin. Ken is the oldest brother. And all my life, being the youngest of three boys, my parents so often got my name wrong. Um, I was like 7 years old before I realized that my name was not Kenny, Danny, Kevin, because that's how they call me, Kenny, Danny, Kevin. So yeah, here it was. The moment I'm waiting for, where my father actually introduces me as doctor, and he gets the doctor part right and the name wrong. So, oops. And he never caught it, and I didn't tell him, and he never caught it, and that was it. So should you use your credentials? I'm not going to answer that, or maybe I could. I use them in a very limited context. Um, Certainly, on a driver's, I've been told before I got my doctorate that on driver's license you should put it on there because the police stop you, they say doctor, and they may give you a little more respect. Um, I was told never put doctor in the phone book because I've heard some people actually get calls from people. I don't know if they're neighbors or total strangers or what, but they see doctor by the name and they actually call you for free advice. So I'm not going to do that, of course. But yeah, generally I don't use it, and my students refer to me as Mister. Only a few of them will say Doctor. I would never insist that students call me Doctor. Some of them call me Professor, um, but I don't push that. The only time I would use Doctor is when I'm in a situation where it's all strangers. Certainly, or in academic situations where it's commonly used for everybody there, so I wouldn't want to be left out in that case. But yeah, like Harvey, I'm not big. I don't like being called doctor by friends unless they do it jokingly, which sometimes they do, and that's fine. That's fine. Um, I did have someone, he called me doctor one time, and you know, I laughed at it and all that, but he kept doing it, and I had to pull him aside. I said, please don't keep doing that. Um, um, but yeah. So generally, I don't use it except in some situations where I feel it's warranted. Okay, I'm enjoying my pipe. I wish I could talk in a monologue and smoke, but I just can't seem to be able to do that. Um, that's why you'll see many videos I start the pipe and then I put it down because I just can't keep it going while I'm talking. In conversation, yes, but in this kind of monologue situation, no, I can't. I just can't do it. Plus, when I talk, I tend to blow the ash out. All right. So anyway, I am enjoying my pipe. Hope you're enjoying yours too. Bye bye.